Well, hello, everyone. This is Robert McCaffery-Lent, Pastoral Assistant for Music and Liturgy at St. Joseph. And this is the next in our series of profiles in music ministry, where I uh, introduce to you some members of the music ministry at St. Joseph and give them the opportunity to tell a little bit about their story, about how they came to do music in church, just as a means of all of us getting to know each other a little bit. So I have with me today one of the men from our choir, Bud Dubay. Welcome, Bud. Thanks for taking the time to be with us.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Thank you. And I think you have the prize for coming the farthest of anybody in the choir, even farther than I do, coming from Tacoma. So talk to us a little bit about just how you came to fall in love with music and ultimately how you came to share that gift of music in the church. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, I think it started in the seventh grade, actually. My grandmother was a musician. She was from Germany, and she would write songs and stuff. And when I was little, I would go over and she would play songs that she had written and sing and stuff. We'd all sing. But basically, I, like a lot of other people, I had a teacher who took an interest in me. And he I was playing saxophone in the band, the school band, and so I don't know why, but he took me aside and he set me down at the piano and he started saying, "Well, here's the scales, here's the key signatures, here's chords," and he showed me all about chords, and I thought, you know what, I kind of like this stuff, and so um,
Hmm.
I started working. Talked my mom into buying an old upright, and I would sit there for hours, and I would just do intervals and play chords and kind of like, well, that feels good, or that's ugly, or that kind of stuff, and I'd try to name them and figure them out, augmented and all that, and, the add, the add-ons, the sevenths, ninths, and major sevenths, and all that stuff, and so I kind of got an ear for chords, and so then it was rock and roll back then, Little Richard and Bill Haley and whatnot, and I was playing saxophone in rock and roll bands, and you'd hear music and you'd say, "Well, what's that chord? What is it? What's that progression? How does that go?" And so you'd sit there and figure it out. And pretty soon I was playing in bars when I was like 16, and um, you walk in, and they say, well, what's the key? F minor, okay, you go on like that.
Where
Of
you
course,
go?
yeah, I'd have to transpose everything because I was B flat instrument, and so
Hmm.
everything was up a step. So,
Hmm.
but
Did you
it
play
worked.
alto sax?
At the time, I was just playing tenor.
Tenor
I
sax.
have
Okay.
an alto now. And the last few years, I've been playing mostly alto, but yeah, that's where I got started. And in '65, I got married and was still trying to play in bars and stuff, and that wasn't working. So I stopped that playing in combos and bands and stuff um, at that time, and I kind of laid it down for many years. But then we went to Alaska and we got involved in a charismatic prayer group, and that kind
Hmm.
of, it was at the same time as, like, like post Vatican II, there were Ray Rap and people like that were writing music and they were playing guitars. So in the meantime, I had picked up a guitar and started playing it. Um, so that's how I got involved in mass liturgy. Um,
Hmm.
as far as vocal, uh, I did take a couple years of vocal training, and probably should go back. I know I should go back, but most of that stuff I've learned from good directors, and anymore whenever I go into a group with a director, I study the director first. That's the first thing, because I've never ever looked at a director or been with a director, sung for a director, and not failed to learn something from it. It's just the way I am. I like to know, how does this work? You know,
Mm-hmm.
sorry to digress, but that was my story, kind of my story. Yeah.
Okay, and so a couple of years ago, you made the trek to join us, at least part of the time at St. Joseph. Um, Tell us about doing music at St. Joseph. What's that like for you?
Well, it's great. First, I love the organization. What I'm talking about is your organizational skills, because it's, we're there to sing, and for me that's important. I come to sing, and I want to spend my time. If I'm going to drive 2 hours, I want to sing, and
Mm-hmm.
and then of course the music, the quality of it, like, Madeline and Don and all these people, they've had all this excellent training, and I get to sing. I mean, how lucky can you get to be able to sing with people who sing the right notes at the right time, and uh, it's it moves along. When I walked in and you said, "Well, we try to do a new anthem every week," I said, "Oh, this is going to be challenging," and so I what I'm finding is that a couple things are happening at once. Normally, just if I were straight and level, I'd be working. And not that I couldn't stay up with you folks, but I'd be working on it. But what I'm
Mm-hmm.
finding is, I'm as I get older, my mind works a little more slowly, and I have trouble with the matching the notes with the words, and at times. But so it keeps me active, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy it. Besides the enjoyment of the music itself, I find it as I get older that one of the best ways to approach God and the Holy Spirit is through music, and it's kind of like an infusion or something. I mean, it's not just you can say, well, here's this segment of my life and that segment, and I do music, and here's my spiritual prayer life, and here's my music life. It's like all this stuff comes together. It's
Mm-hmm.
so the better the music, the better my spiritual life is, I guess, is
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying. I find going to St. Joe's, I'm being fed, not just with the preaching, and not just with liturgy, not just with the music, not just with the people that are there, but all of it put together. It's a great place. Yeah.
What's a favorite hymn or church song for you?
Uh, well, historically, I think it's probably been Durafle Ubi Caritas. Um, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
We did it at MHB's funeral, and it was
Mm-hmm.
like, this is great. But I tell you what, there was another thing. Maria sang Psalm 63 by Jonkus,
Mm-hmm. My
and
soul is thirsting.
My soul is thirsty. I was listening to that, and I could hardly sing that. In fact, I'm just kind of tearing up now just thinking about it. But when music or the spiritual aspect of prayer, anything gets to me, I kind of get all kind of teary. But anyhow, that song I think I would is probably one of my favorites. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I would agree. It's one of my favorite psalm settings as well.
Yeah, it's just wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you, Bud. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today and to introduce yourself and let us into your story a little bit about your love of music and saxophone and church music as well. And thanks for being part of the music ministry at St. Joseph.
Well, thank you, Bob, for all that you've taught me, and all the other people there. I learned something every time I come down. I try to keep my ears open, and I always learn something. Thank you.
Thanks. Hope to see you soon.
Okay, yeah, me
All right.
too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.